if you want to find out how to mix arpeggios in the blues with your standard pentatonic playing, just like the pros, we'll hang out to find out. So firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to look at me playing across a G7 blues, mixing arpeggios with pentatonic playing. So what I was doing there was I was thinking G7 arpeggios and then G minor pentatonic across the G chord. Across the C chord, C7 arpeggios, G minor pentatonic. Across the D7 chord, D7 arpeggios, G minor pentatonic. So where are those G7 arpeggios? What I'm doing is seeing a really simple shape, and it's this. And that's basically root, 3, 5, flat 7, root, yeah? And then, if I want to repeat it, I'll do the same thing from here. Root, 3, 5, flat 7, root. It's changed slightly because of the B string, right? Okay, so in the video, I started off with something like that, yeah? Very, very simple. I just went up the arpeggio. Now, what a lot of jazz guys do and more advanced blues players is they go up the arpeggio, in this case a G7 arpeggio, and down the scale, in this case G minor pentatonic. So that might look something like this. Right, and if I put that in the context of the backing track, we might get this. Or I could include the second arpeggio and then go G minor pentatonic like this. Got a really cool event coming up. Remy Harris and I are running an event for 2 days. That's based on the playing of Albert King and Peter Green. At the end of May, we're doing it with guitar breaks. Just click on the link below. You'll see the link on guitar breaks below. There's only limited spaces, so really worth looking at that. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. The reason this works is the arpeggio introduces you to the tonality of the chord, and then you get a little bit funky when you're putting the minor pentatonic across it, right? And it's a very common thing to do, right? It kind of leads the listener's ears in to the tune and then twists it a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that over the G chord, over the G7. And when the C7 chord comes, I'm going to go, I'm just going to do a C7 arpeggio and then go G minor pentatonic over the second C7 bar, which will sound like this. And then if I expand the concept even further, when the D7 chord comes along, I'm just going to play a D7 arpeggio. Now, I've only got a bar there, so I haven't got time really to do the D7 arpeggio and then the G minor pentatonic. So I'm just going to hit something like that. I might put that little chromatic thing in, and that will sound like this. So you can see it's a really cool way to be able to mix arpeggios and pentatonic scales, right? And that is by using dominant seventh arpeggios, which fit the chord that you're playing over, but just a generic G minor pentatonic over the whole thing. Now, if you want to see more of this in a lot more detail, just head over to my Patreon channel. It's in the link below. It's only the cost of a cup of coffee per month. There's loads of content in there, and we'll go into this in a lot more depth. Now, other things that you could do with this is instead of playing G7 here or here, we could play it here, right? And I could play C7 here, right? And that I could then mix with minor pentatonics there. But here I'm in position 4. That might sound like this. So there I vary things slightly, and across the 5 chord and the 4 chord, I just play G minor pentatonic across all of that, right? So instead of following the chords with the D7 and the C7, I'm just playing minor pentatonic across it. So I can mix that minor pentatonic in and the dominant 7th sound in whenever I like. I could go minor pentatonic over the first 3 bars, right? And then a dominant 7th arpeggio on the last bar, so kind of flip it on its head. That would sound like this. And I like the sound of that as well. It's by doing something different on bar 4 that kind of makes it work. I think that's kind of the key to it. And that different thing might be the dominant 7th arpeggio, or it could be the minor pentatonic. It depends what you've done before.